So I left you with this idea of a challenge of kind of combining all of these functions basically into one function, and how would you be able to do that? Now, I don't recommend going this method, but I want to show you that you can think about these views a little bit differently by how they are rendered and how they're handled. So I'm going to make a new view. I'm going to get rid of this stuff right here, and I'm going to call it define post model robust view. It's going to take in a request ID equal to none. And then we're going to return a render. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just copy the detail view for that specifically. So we'll just go back into that detail view and post this down here. Okay, so this is the detail view, but what if the object is ID is none? Otherwise, what if create is what we're doing here? So if ID is not none, then we can go ahead and do this sort of stuff, right? That is no problem. Like, that is how our context and stuff would be. So if it is none, then we're going to assume that edit is probably the thing, right? It's actually probably going to be creating something. So the first things that I want to do is object equaling to none, and then context being empty context. And then I'll put a success message saying create or a new post was created. And then the template, the default template, will just say template equals to blog/detailview.html. So since I put that default template there, I no longer have to have it here. And also, since I already have a empty context dictionary here, I can actually set the context here instead. So I'll just set it as object. Instead of overriding it, I'm just adding it to there. So I've got object, and that's that. Now I do want to say if edit is in request.get full path, then my template is going to be different. So I'll say template equals to blog/updateview.html. And then the next thing I want to do is say is if edit is in request.getFullPath or create in request.getFullPath, then I'm going to render some stuff. Now, first of all, I will say the template for edit and create is going to be, slightly different depending on which one we're working in. So I'll say if ID is not none, then I'll just give the template being blog/updateview.html. Otherwise, I'll set the template up here being blog/createview.html. Again, the ID not being none as in the parameter that's being passed there. So one is the update view because of the form. The other one is the create view because of that form. So now I can just say form equals to post model form request.post or none instance equals to object, which we set object if it was not none. If it is none, object is just none. So then the instance is none. And then we'll say if form.is valid, then we can do object equals form.save, commit equals to false. I'm just copying pretty much what's down below, and then object.save. And then here we could actually update how this goes down. So like our success method and stuff like that. So if the ID is not none, then I'm going to put my success method in here. I might as well just put it in there knowing that, hey, I've got my ID not being none here. So I'm actually going to change this just ever so slightly. And I have my template being the update view here. I want to keep my template as create view being if ID is none. So if ID is none, then I'll have the actual template being the create view. So if it's not none, it's going to be the update view if it's editing. Otherwise, it'll be the detail view. So I can get rid of those as well. Okay. So I've got my success message based on whatever I'm working with. So this is meaning that object probably exists. This means object is being, could be created. Okay, so object probably exists means that there's two possible template views that we could have, and that is the detail view, the update view, and then maybe even the delete view, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. So I've got the create view as if there's no object, that's assuming that we're actually going to be creating it then. And then otherwise, we want to make sure that this is actually in there. So here I'm going to add context of form being equal to the form. And then form is valid, all that stuff's fine. And then we'll do messages.success. And this is going to take in the request and the success message. Notice the success message, again, changes depending on what we end up doing. And then also it will say if object is not none. So if it's being updated, we'll return HTTP response redirect to that actual update. And num. And then dot format object.id. Okay. Otherwise, we're just going to say context of the form is equal to post model form empty. And that's it. We do want one more, and that's delete. So if delete in request dot get full path, then we're going to say the template is equal to the delete template, which this is now this is the one that's on the bottom. So the template is going to be blog/delete view.html. And then in here, we'll say if request.method equals to post, then we're going to say the same sort of stuff as we did before. And I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. Okay. So this is a view that combines all of our other views. This does all of Crud. I'm not even going to test it. I'll let you guys test it. But it's really kind of a mess. And this is something you want to avoid doing. But if you go through it, you can see how it actually works. Now, there's parts of it that work well. There's other parts that don't. Now, the things that you might consider combining are maybe this actual right here. This might just combine the edit and create methods to being one. But this stuff is way better served in a class-based view. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Because each one of these aspects is something called like a mix-in in a class-based view, where the class-based views handles this just so much more elegantly than I did here. And this is like pretty concise as to what it could be to handle every aspect of CRUD in one view. Now, I don't recommend that you do handle every aspect of CRUD in one view. You can handle multiple aspects, but in this case, it's just getting so nuts as to what's going on with it. So I do recommend that you try that out, just to get a little taste of bringing all these views into one. Notice the list view is not in there. Of course, we could change that. And in fact, we can change every aspect of CRUD with doing something more like this. If delete is in the path, we could do stuff like that. But this then relies on a two-way relationship. That is, the view function has to know what is going on in the URL function, where with these other ones, they don't have to know anything other than the keyword arguments that are coming through. Which is something else that you can think about. Okay, so that's it for that like combining method. Again, it's not something we're going to actually end up doing, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it and put it at the very bottom along with the other one that we're not doing, just so you guys can see that in action and see what it is. As far as talking through it, I'm just going to go through the talking points really quickly. Again, so the object itself is... We're going to say it's none, right? So ID can be none. That means object can be none. And the fact that I put ID equals to none means that I can route it to something like this. If I didn't have ID equals to none, errors would happen unless there was actually keyword arguments in the URL itself. Context, I put an empty context, and then I just put a default success message. And then down below, we actually see the things that are going to show us what's going on with these conditionals. So if ID is none, then the template is create view. So ID being none assumes that that's what we're doing. We're actually going to be creating something, and create should not be in full path. That's actually incorrect. Or wait, no, it is correct. So we would have create in there. So if ID is none, then we're in the create view, and then we would skip these two. The delete method would also probably need to make sure that ID is not none, so I could probably just tab that in. And then, so the ID is not none. Otherwise, we could also just put in, an else clause in here as well. A lot of little things that you could just kind of improve upon. But we assume that the ID is not none, so then it jumps down to this clause, and it says if it's edit or create, basically if it's update or create a new one, then go through this stuff. Really, this if create stuff probably doesn't really need to be there, because if it's going through the form and there's no object, that's okay. The templates are different already. We've already designed the templates. So regardless of what the context says, the templates won't have the form being even rendered. So all of this stuff could actually be tabbed out and coming in here. The templates are all rendered up here based off of that logic. So that's no longer necessary. So just another sort of thing that we'd go through. Otherwise, we would do all the other things that we've already done and seen with the other view functions. So thanks for watching this one, and I hope it kind of challenges your Python skills, or at least challenges you to think of different ways to write your code in a much more effective and better way. Now, this is not more effective and it's not better. It is just showing you another way. The more effective and better would probably be, like I said, making the update view and the create view combined into one, and that's that. And then possibly having the detail view in there too. But more than likely, you would also not want to have the detail view. Another one you could do is the detail view and the update view into one, and then have the create view on its own. So there's a lot of different ways on how you could go about doing it, but now you should have enough skill to be able to try these different things out. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.